Good morning, stampers and crafters. Welcome to Tina's Crafty Ink Spot. Thank you for joining me today. I have a new technique for you. Okay, it's not new, but it's my new technique. They have a technique out there called floating cardstock or floating elements. And normally, you have to cut out your pieces, you have to use some press and seal, and you have to use a whole lot of dimensionals. Well, I figured out a way to do it just a little bit easier, at least for me, and I wanted to share that with you today. So basically what you're getting is a floating element. You can use it with flowers, you can use it with stripes, you can use it with any cardstock, any images, and I'm going to show you an easy way to do that today. So what you will need is you will need some window sheet. And I've cut a piece of window sheet here. I usually leave my little it's like a tissue paper on there, mainly so that I can find it on my workspace. So anyway, I have a piece of window sheet here. We're going to do a couple of different ways and things with this. So the first one is the easy one, and it's using strips of cardstock. So I've cut this window sheet at 4 1/4 and 5 1/2, and we're going to trim it or make things the way we need out of it once it's created. Then we're going to use some really pretty cardstock. And it's this new Simply Marvelous. And right now this cardstock is still available in celebrations till the end of the month. With a $50 order, you can get this free. It's in the, let's see, do I have my catalog? It's in the celebration catalog on page 10. So with the $50 order, you can get this pack of beautiful marbled paper. It's got marble on one side and kind of a watercolor kind of technique on the other. It's just really, really pretty. Anyway, enough sales. But anyway, that's what I'm going to use here today. And I'm going to take a few different colors of it. I'm going to do yellow, the purple, the blue, and the pink. And we are going to create strips for this. So I'm going to bring in my cutter, and you can either cut your strips all the same width, or you can do like I did here, where I kind of use different widths of paper. I really like it like that. I like that kind of abstract look. So that's what I'm going to do today. But if you rather it all be uniform, you can just cut your strips uniform. So the other good thing about doing it abstract is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stack these 4 pieces together. I'm going to see if my trimmer will cut them all at once. So we're just going to cut some random widths. Let's start at about, let's do 1/4 here. And then we're going to, oh yeah, it'll cut through all those. Wonderful. Just set those aside. I'm going to cut a few of these. Oh, I guess I didn't cut through that last one. Let's see if I can find where I cut it there. There we go. So it's maybe I need to do it twice if I'm doing 4 pieces of cardstock here. Let's stack it together. And let's do a little bit bigger slice. So we'll run it through a couple, there we go. We'll just run it through a couple times and then get there. Let's do another thin one. I started doing this video tutorial yesterday, and I got, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through, and I wasn't wearing my glove, and part of the problem with this hand is the nerve damage is caused in my spine has caused no feeling in parts of my hand and my arm. Well, I had cut myself and I didn't realize it. And all of a sudden I looked down in the middle of the video and I had blood all over everything. It was pretty, I was like, oh no. So I ended up canceling that video and we're redoing it today, obviously. I put my glove back on. The glove kind of not only helps me use my fingers, but it kind of protects me from boo-boos, I guess. Let's do a little thinner one here. Okay, we probably have enough here to cover our sheet. So let's set those aside. Now, to put them on your window sheet, you can use your tape or you can use glue. And it's kind of your own preference. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start it out though, and I'm going to line it up on my grid paper and get the first one on straight. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and use the marbled side, I think. I think that'll be really unique that way. And then we're just going to put it across. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue. You don't want to overdo it here because you don't want, your glue to show. So let's start this first one. So I'm going to pick it up, make sure I'm kind of level on the edge there. And there we go, we got our first one. Let's bring in our rubber mat, which will help the glue from sticking to the paper there. I'm going to grab some random strips and colors here. And we're going to fill the whole sheet because you're going to be able to get more than one card out of this. And I'll show you how as soon as we get there. I just kind of pick a random width to put them. It's kind of your own preference there, but you want a little bit of gap. I'm just going to grab some different colors. Might be easier to use your tape here, I guess, if you're good at tape. I'm just not very good at tape. So we're just going to follow through and go all the way down. I'll go ahead and fast forward the video through this, and I'll pick up when I get it loaded up. Okay, we got the last one on there. Now we're gonna this is why I kind of put it on my little rubber mat. So we've got our random, I just love that, isn't that beautiful? Now we're just gonna take a pair of scissors and trim off our excess. I used to have a pair of non-stick scissors. Lord knows where those little guys disappeared too. Look at the back side, isn't that beautiful? So you could do either side. You could actually even mix them. So you can use any cardstock for this, even if you wanted to just do a solid color, anything like that. Okay, let's set that aside. Throw this out. Oh, I kind of glued them there, didn't I? Let's see if I can pick them up here. There we go. Okay, now we're going to be able to get a couple cards out of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my, let's do our stitched rectangles. So let's create, let's see what size we got here. Let's do that rectangle and maybe Let's try this one here. And do we want to go a little smaller so we have a bigger frame? Let's see if we can make just a little smaller. Let's see what we got here. There we go. Let's go ahead and do that one and run it through our die cut machine. Got my paper going everywhere here. We'll put this on our magnetic plate. If you don't have a magnetic plate, go ahead and use a sticky note or something to hold your dies in place. Let's run that through our machine. I run it through once and then back the other way, just so we make sure it goes all the way through the window sheet, because it's a little thicker. Peel this up. I think we went through there. We go through. May need to run it through one more time. The window sheet kind of... I'm going to run it through there one more time, just to make sure that cut through your stitched rectangle kind of adds a little, you know what I mean, a little bit of... so let's run that through one more time. I have my electric machine off to the side over here. Let's see if that cut through that time. Oh, there we go, a little bit better. Pop this out. Oh, my stitch rectangle is not wanting to cut today. There we go. Window sheet's pretty tough, I guess. Why that's not popping out of there. Of course, yesterday when I did this, it worked like a champ. There we go. Gonna kind of persuade it here a little bit. There we go, there's that one. Now, if you end up making a bigger, a bigger sheet, save your edges, because you can actually use them, your scraps, to make more cards with. Make little frames, whatever you need to do. Guess I'm having trouble with my die here. If you have a regular rectangle, you can use that too, or you can cut it. Just cut it, you don't have to use a die. Like I'm doing here, that seems to be, since I'm doing a video, of course it's going to fight with me here. I'm just going to grab some scissors here. I think the window sheet's, good thing is it's a good window sheet. Stampin' Up doesn't scrimp on cheap window sheet. I guess you get to see me sit here and do my bloopers, but you know what? We all experience it. So we're just gonna roll with it here. Got little scissors, we got this. There we go. Look at that beautiful frame we got there. So what we'll do is we'll bring in a card base. Let's go ahead and do a regular basic white card base here. Now, the trick to make it look floating is to use dimensionals behind it. Okay? For some reason my cardstock didn't fold real good there. Let me trim it. I'm kind of a little bit OCD that my card bases are, you know, exactly folded and square. I don't know, it's kind of an OCD thing. So now the trick is, looks like I need to trim this a little here. So the trick is, now we've got it for our card base, and to make it look floating, we need to add dimensional strips. For some reason let me get my, okay, so we're going to grab our dimensional strips, and we're going to add them behind, on the back side, and we're going to hide them behind our strips here. You don't have to do every one. I would do, you know, like the edges here. The top edge maybe, bottom edge. I'm going to save this and do the little ones. Let's add a couple in here. When you do the, what is it called, the press and seal technique, you end up putting dimensionals on every element of your floating card. This just, to me, seemed a little bit easier than the press and seal. But of course, right now, the way my video is going, it kind of looks like it's difficult, doesn't it? Well, it really isn't. I'm just going to add some of these. Okay, so now, whenever I'm doing like a dimensional or glue, you know, a glue, make sure I'm squared up here. Okay, so we're going to peel off our backing. And I'm going to show you a trick that helps you, I might have already showed you this, but it'll help you when you're using adhesive strips or dimensionals, and you know, you're always nervous because once it goes down, it's stuck right where you put it, and hopefully you put it straight. I'm going to show you a little trick I do that gives me a little bit of leeway to make sure my dimensionals give me some room to shift my image. Let's see, I think I got them all off. So a trick I use is I take a little bit of glue and I put it right on, you know, even though it's already got adhesive, you put a real fine little coat of glue on those. When you put it down, you have just a few seconds to move it around to make sure it's in position where you want it. It's just kind of a little tips and trick. You can do it with regular dimensionals, dimensional strips, whatever you want. So let's go ahead and get this on here. And looky there, you have this really cool floating element. And you could put your little design in there, you can stamp an image, you can put a greeting in there, you could turn it sideways, do a book greeting. How about thanks? We'll just stick thanks right in there. How pretty is that? So let's go ahead and add that. Put a little glue on my thanks die. I will have links to all the products we used today down below. Oops. Just having a good time with my hand the last couple days. Let's put it at an angle. I think that would look pretty. We're going to put it in an angle. And why don't we add a small butterfly to that? Put a little glue on him. And looky there. Isn't that cool? Okay, now you still have another piece left. So let's grab that. Take it out of our die. I must add a little bit of a miss there. Let's grab another piece of cardstock here. Card base. I think probably because I didn't use my bone folders, why this didn't fold. They're not folding straight. I always use my bone folder. There we go. Now we got it straight. So you can do, I'll give samples of several cards I've done. So now we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to add some strips. It's kind of like if you wanted to just glue individual pieces of cardstock to your paper, but technically it really is faster to do it this way by just putting them all together on one piece of window sheet. And you can do multiple cards. You can make larger. I'm going to show you some other images or another technique for this. It's really pretty. Let me get this one on there. Let's get this one on. Got a little snag of paper there. Window sheet gives it some really nice strength too. I'm sure somebody's probably already done this technique. I think I saw it several years ago, so it's out there. But the last few I was looking up for a floating frame, you had to use press and seal, cellophane, and you had to, it looked like a lot of work to me. This seemed easy. And very versatile. So let's add this. I'm going to put that right in the middle. And let's go ahead and we're going to bring in our stamparatus. I'm going to go ahead put a greeting on here. And I'm going to put it just below our little image here. I have a little snag of window sheet here I'm going to trim. So let's grab, how about, I love the happy birthday in this Waves of Inspiration that's coming out. I have samples of cards. This is the new Waves of Inspiration, and I did the floating cardstock technique on it. I really liked that, and here's what we just did, and I did it with the Waves of Inspiration paper there, added the pelican and a little happy birthday. I just, quick, simple, elegant. I'm going to go ahead and grab the happy birthday. Let's put it right here at the bottom. going to stamp that in regular Memento black. And then we will add, I got the whole messy crafting thing going on here, don't I? This is how I normally craft. It's one or two projects makes a really nice cluttered mess. We're just going to grab a butterfly here that I got off. I will list which one it is. It's Butterfly Brilliance. We're just going to add him right to the middle of that. I'm just going to do glue on his body so that his wings kind of flutter. And then we can just take some pearls. Let's add a couple pearls. Let's do maybe pink. Oops. Do a purple one. My Take Your Pick tool needs a new putty. And maybe a light purple. Right about there. There we go. And we've got a little floating element butterfly card. We've got our thanks. It's nice, it's colorful. And okay, now there's another way, or another thing you can do, which looks so pretty. So I gotta show you this. It's the same technique, but what we're gonna do is we are going to use, let me grab the paper here. We are going to use our pansy set. So what I did is I took our pansy designer paper and I cut out with the dies, there's coordinating dies with this, to cut out all these little leaves and flowers. Okay, so you're going to take your window sheet. Where's my other window? There it is. We'll move this aside. You're going to take your window sheet and you're going to randomly put your pansies and leaves all, and you want to, kind of cover as much space as you can. You're going to glue them down the same way we did our strips. Now, to save you from watching me do that, I did it off camera for you. Let me find it. So what I did is I end up with this, okay? And we haven't trimmed it or anything yet, so you kind of want to fill in a lot of the space. So now we'll just take, well, you know what we'll do? I wonder if my die cut seems to be having trouble. So let's use our cutter. So if you don't have the dies, let's go ahead and trim this off to 4. Let's get it on here straight here. Kind of hard to see my Windows sheet here. Let's do. I'm going to do 4. Oh, I'm going to have to trim the side here. And we're going to make it at about 5 1/4. It's kind of pretty just the way it is. Let's do 5 1/4 here. So So you can stick it to your card just like this with your dimensionals, or we can cut out a frame. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how to do that with your cutter. So say like you want a 1/2 inch frame or a 3/4 inch frame edge. So what you'll do is you'll lay your card at the 3/4 inch on your measuring here. It does have a ruler, okay, right here. So what you would do is you put this at 3/4, bring up your cutter, and go to 3/4 inch on your measuring. I'm going to move right to the arrow here. You'll see a little line. I'm going to go to 3/4 inch. Drop it down. You're going to come down, and you're going to leave 3/4 inch, which will put you at 4 3/4. So just bring your cutter down to the line on your blade. Goes to 4 3/4. Okay. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to spin it. Go to 3/4. And then we want 3/4 here, so we got, see if I can see it, should be about 3 there. We'll do the same thing here. We should have our little frame here. Oops. You might need to use your snips just a little bit to make sure you didn't overcut. So you can just go back here. And there you go. You have your floral frame, and you also have your center cut. So you can use your dies or you can use your trimmer. So we're going to take another piece of cardstock. Let's go ahead and take this one. It's our regular A2 card base. And look at this floral frame. How pretty is that? Okay, so now we're going to take some dimensionals. Oh, where did I put my dimensionals? There they are. They're hidden. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hide dimensionals behind the flowers. A little mini to put in this corner here. Kind of want my corners to be supported. You can use your strips here too if you want to. I kind of just don't skimp on dimensionals. I don't want stuff to collapse on me in the mail, so. But it is stronger because we've got it on that window sheet. So we want to be able to square this up real easily on our paper. So this is where I add a little bit of glue right on the dimensionals. Sure going to make the card strong. It's got glue and dimensionals, but it just helps you move it. Because sometimes there's that once you lay it down, you're kind of committed thing. So I figured out this just seems easier. You hear my little girl under my desk. She lays here with her head on my leg while I'm working. Look at that. How pretty is that frame? And you can put your greeting in there, whatever you want to put. And then you have another card right there. Let me find another card base here. I have another piece of card we can do here. You can do a colored card. I guess I should show you what I'm doing. I'm actually just making a card piece out of a base of white. I forgot I had one less card base done because of the accident yesterday. And then you have this beautiful piece just for this card. You can do it sideways, you can do it up and down, whichever way you want to do. But let's add some dimensionals to that. I'll go ahead and finish these off with flowers or a greeting, and I'll add them to the photos to the post below. Basically, I just wanted to show you the technique today on a way to do these floating elements, but to me it seems a little bit easier and so versatile. You could use anything. You could do, even if you have, you know, cardstock scrap, you know, you can create these. I'll show you. Let's see how this turns out here. Look at that. How pretty is that? So you got 2 cards out of each one of them. And then if you end up with scrap pieces, you can create frames. These are just strips or scrap that I had left over when I created this one. This one I used the Simply Marvelous and just all pink. Added a few pink, and you've just got a quick, simple, I like that effect. Anyway, that was the technique today. It's the floating elements cardstock card using window sheet for a quick and simple look. Even you can do a full piece where you just cover the whole piece of your card base like I did here. I hope you like today's technique, and I will go ahead and we'll finish these up and I'll post photos below. But I hope you enjoyed today's technique as a quickie, and you have a very happy stamping day. Stay safe out there.